remember we did a photo shoot for the Fort William World Cup in Glasgow.
Oh yeah.
And you were in like your full Trek kit. And
This was the Lourdes crash.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Aye, so that was like over a bridge.
Yeah.
So probably then as well, I suffered a pretty bad concussion, and that actually I didn't recognize it at the time, and that was like, having looked back now, it's like, oh, that was such a nightmare because I didn't even know I had one, but I was just getting worse and worse. And
was that in your race run?
That was from that crash, yeah.
Okay.
So it was kind of the worst and best thing that could happen, because it made me realize of how serious concussions were.
Yeah.
And I actually did the whole season pretty much probably making it worse because I was still training through it. I was still...
Yeah, you just needed to give yourself time to rest and actually get over it.
For sure. So that's something that I tried to... I've actually done a video recently with Ewan Rossi from Glasgow about trying to make more awareness with concussions.
Yeah, really. It was actually interesting you say that, because it was one thing I was going to ask you about, because it's pretty topical at the moment, isn't it? Because with this sort of, it was in the last few years talking about CTE and stuff, like ex-action sport athletes, or maybe anything that's sort of consistent head trauma. So have you had quite a few concussions in...
touch wood, no, I haven't. I've only had that one, and then one last year, which I kind of was so good to kind of get on top of, because I knew what to do this time, and it was so good to have like the proper guidance. So
I guess it is just such an unknown, like I guess it still is, but I suppose it's getting better, and it seems to be all about like, obviously you don't want to hit your head once, but it seems to be like the second and third, it almost gets like exponentially worse if you don't give yourself that time to basically recover.
Exactly. So yeah, to come into 2019 where I did it a second time, actually, I like hit it properly, like basically got straight into, like, drove home. I had Michael Vickers, a British cycling coach, kind of help me out at the time, and he went through the protocol. Yep, it's definitely a concussion. Right, let's get home. Drove home straight away, like left the World Cup that weekend. And then I missed several World Cups.
Oh, really?
And just
this was last
season,
okay, cool.
So I basically, thankfully he helped recognize it, and then got myself home, dark room, no TV, minimal phone time.
Oh, really?
Minimal, like, anything like that. It was a month and a half I did it at home.
Oh, really?
It's crazy looking back, actually, because it was just like...
It must be like, well, obviously, like, it's super serious, but at the same time, it must have been like, especially in like this modern world, to like be away from your phone or everything, just to be kind of like sitting there. It must have been like so boring.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but probably
so
pretty
boring.
Good, to be honest. Like, absolutely. Regardless of the concussion, it's probably quite a nice thing to like
really nice,
get away from like all that crap that we just like constantly surround ourselves with these days.
Exactly. So I like was reading some psychology books even and stuff like that, and just kind of doing minimal, like no exertion of anything, and just like, just relaxing. So that turned out to be the best thing I could do, because I knew I was selected for Worlds. So I just rested up for those last two races, and then kind of worked my way into the World Champs weekend, got I think it was 14th.
Okay, that's good.
And I was like, okay, sweet, like that's good considering I've been in my bed.
Not exactly
on
like
the couch.
Good training setup.
Yeah, and then that kind of I never actually realized how fresh I was, because I hit snowshoe the weekend after and got 7th at like
so that's
the last World Cup.
That was literally the last World Cup race that there's been. Yeah, so that's cool.
So it was like, wow, like that stuff works, and I really want to kind of make that known to everyone as well. Like you kind of recognize it. It's annoying because the UCI actually had a concussion doctor trialing 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. And he would come to all the World Cups. And I don't know why it stopped.
And is it just like his decision's final? So if he comes and sees someone and they're like, if he says you're not racing,
I believe
there's nothing.
He would still leave the option to you.
Oh, really?
Or the team.
Which must be pretty lethal. Because I know what like folk could be like. They're just going, especially like depending on what position they're in, whether they're like needing to prove themselves for a team or to keep themselves on their current team, whatever. It must be like very tempting just to get back on it and make things worse, because I can only imagine you're not exactly very fast if you're like off the back of a concussion. Yeah. Even if you think you are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that guy never even didn't really hear too much about him after. Like, I guess they stopped paying him.
Yeah, and, I guess it's all money, isn't it?
Yeah, and but no. Well, what I heard most recently, did you see Loic Bruni's crash in Fort William? Mm-hmm. Like, he had that on the hip qualifying. So he had to get checked out, and I believe he had quite a complex, especially for him with his language barrier speaking English. He had quite a complex, like, had to read the alphabet backwards, and a few other things. And he said it was really tough. I remember him saying, and he also, that did rely on him racing on Sunday. Yeah. And that would have been a massive hit in his points, because it came down to that final round.
If he hadn't raced Fort William that Sunday, he wouldn't have won the overall, because I think, did he come like fifth or like, he didn't win, but he was like, he got points basically, didn't he?
Yeah, he got points, but it was a massive help towards his.
It's a fine sort of margin to sort of tread, isn't it? Because I don't know, like
sport where there's
like
money
people's
involved.
livelihood, and then but at the same time, when it comes to your head, you just like, I don't know, it's not like hurting your arm or something. It's like
no regrets.
Yeah, once that goes, it's your goose, like so.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're doing some. Did you say you did a video or like some sort of campaign to?
Yeah, well, he actually, I can't take credit for it. Yeah. He started it, and they actually did an interview with me a couple of months ago, and cool. Hopefully that'll be out soon. That's I know sweet. It's part of. You'll know Adam McGuire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he was filming it as part of his uni project.
So cool. That's a pretty good topic. So definitely something interesting. I always wonder, like with because I guess the problem with these things is it's not necessarily just concussions. It's like just continuous kind of like shocks to the head. I always sometimes wonder, like with like even with trials doing like 10-foot drops to flat, like it's
crazy.
They're not big hits, but just hundreds and thousands, if not more, of just like these sort of rings of your bell. But
absolutely, some of the worst concussions you can suffer are being like rear-ended by a car. Apparently,
I just get like a bad whiplash.
A bad whiplash is just like,
and you never even so you've not really hit your head.
Yeah,
you've just like just been a massive like deceleration kind of thing.
Exactly. Crazy.